Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Tom Wheeler. I'm here in Minneapolis, member of Naglrep, of course, and I'm joined today by Tony Mattar in Chicago. Tony, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good, good. And of course, we have Ben here as well from Orlando. Um, Ben, how are you?
Doing well. Yeah. It's hot
Good,
down
good.
here.
Yeah, it's okay up here. This is one of the cool things about this concept, and what we get to do is connect from different cities. So right now we have Orlando, Chicago, and Minneapolis. So Tony, tell us a little bit about yourself. I'm super excited that you could join us. And yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm super excited to chat with you guys today. My name's Tony Mattar. I am the co-founder and managing broker at HOMECO Chicago, a new independent real estate brokerage here in the city. I've been in the business for, I think, about 5.5 years. So I've worked at several different companies, on several top producing teams in the city, then did the individual agent thing for a little bit.
Mhm.
And most recently teamed up with my business partner, Haley Levine, to create our own shop, which has been super exciting over the past 6 months or so. Yeah, I mean, we're just hitting ground running. It's been kind of gangbusters so far, and we're really looking forward to continuing to grow.
So
Cool.
Tony, uh, real quick, opening your own brokerage is such a big deal and a huge undertaking. So let's go back to the inspiration. What inspired you to, move and open your own brokerage?
Sure. So my business partner Haley and I, we actually met about 5 years ago. This was like two companies ago for both of us. So we became, fast friends. She was working as an assistant for another broker. I was working as the business manager at the office and kind of an agent on the business on the brokerage owners team. We hit it off immediately, and really became kind of personal friends first, and sort of worked in parallel but not together. Um, and really, the idea kind of started as like a bar stool aspiration. We would go out to the bar,
Yes.
get a little bit too drunk, and sort of talk about, maybe one day we can open our own brokerage. We'll be the future of Chicago real estate. I mean, it was kind of funny at first, and then it was crazy how we both just grew so much professionally and personally over those 5 years of friendship. And we sort of had this aha moment about 6 or 7 months ago. We both actually were having kind of a crappy day, if you will, and we were like sitting on the ground at our old office, kind of just like lamenting and venting to each other, because at the time we were both doing the solo agent thing. And
Mm.
that can be really challenging when you're in it alone, from an emotional standpoint and just from a logistical standpoint of having to be, two or three places at once. So we both kind of felt like we were butting our heads up against a wall. We both had, deals that were really difficult at the time, and we sort of were just like venting to each other on a personal level. And we then kind of looked at each other and we're like, should we talk about teaming up?
Right.
And we kind of laughed it off, but then like 2 days later, we saw each other again, and I was like, I've been thinking about what we talked about, and she was like, me too. Let's kind of explore this. So
Love that.
we ended up doing like an 8-hour offsite at the local Chicago Association of Realtors headquarters down here in the Loop, and we hashed out our business plan, talked about the pros and cons, and then from there, it's just been, the rest has been history.
One thing I really love about the way you bring that up is the connection that you and your business partner shared prior to even developing any of the ideas you had. And I think that that's a unique aspect to being in business, is obviously being fulfilled in your partnerships and things like that. So as that pertains to Naglrep and being a part of the community, clearly your business partner, Haley, had a support for the community, and you guys obviously connected, which I love. So tell me a little bit more about how that model worked, or that partnership worked within the community. I mean, it sounds like you guys, of course, you being a member of Naglrep and being such good friends. Tell me a little bit about how much fun, or like what that's looked like in terms of being in support of the Naglrep community in Chicago.
Yeah, so I got to be honest and say that I am a recent addition to the Naglrep community within the past couple months or so. Obviously being a part of many different LGBTQ organizations and initiatives here in Chicago for the past, almost 9, 10 years that I've lived here. But that was something where, especially it was actually our teaming up that sort of, I guess, sort of spurred my continued interest. And I said, you know, I need to sign up for Naglrep. I need to be a part of that community, because leaving the brokerage where we were previously at, there was actually it was Keller Williams, and, you know, they're awesome. And they obviously have the Rainbow Network, which I was a part of for my tenure at KW.
Right.
And, you know, then no longer being with Keller Williams, I thought, okay, I need to find another outlet to connect with LGBTQ people within this industry. And I really saw the value when I was a part of that network. And so that was kind of the impetus for me, you know, signing up, if you will.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing I was curious about, and one of the things I think that we collectively can bring together to this concept and to the group and to the community, is advocacy, being your most authentic self. And so one thing that I absolutely love about you is your presence on social media and your authenticity in that approach. So of course we connected on Insta, and I absolutely love your profile. I feel like you're my kindred spirit animal. But tell me a little bit about like your perspective in growing into the space online, in social, because, you know, I have a business page. I imagine you guys do as well. Actually, I know you guys have your business page, but how do those two intermingle, and like, what is that boundary, and what is your vision for that boundary?
Yeah, so for me, at least, it's been kind of an evolution. I mean, you know, growing up in the age of social media and having an Instagram back when, you know, you could do the little frames on every photo and, you know, look totally different than it does today.
Yeah.
Social media has obviously been something that, you know, has continued to evolve as I've been utilizing it. So, and then in addition to that, you know, the fact that the company itself is fairly new, you know, we're kind of exploring that and finding our own voice and our own brand online. I can really speak to my personal philosophy in social media, in that up until recently, when we started the company's Instagram, you know, I just had one page. It was all me, for personal, for business. It was kind of, you know, I joke and I say, what you see is what you get. And if you check out my Instagram, you can see it all. So, you know, it's really kind of a no holds bar approach. I obviously want to maintain a sense of professionalism in the public persona that I put online. So I'm not going to be out there posting, you know, I don't know, I guess everything's relative, but, you know, I'm not going to be posting like nude pictures or anything like that. But in terms of, you know, well, I work hard for my body, and, you know, I spend a ton of time in the gym, and, you know, I like to go out to the beach and on my friends' boats and stuff. So if you have an issue seeing me in a Speedo on my Instagram, then maybe we're not the right fit. And that was something that I had to decide, you know, years ago. I had a family member tell me, kind of, in not so many words, like, watch what you put online. You might turn some people off who are potential clients. And I kind of had to decide for myself that anyone who's going to be turned off by my online persona is not probably someone that I'm going to enjoy working with, and is probably not someone who's going to enjoy working with me and then refer me business. So I would rather attract like-minded people. You know, I work with a ton of millennials. I work with a ton of first-time buyers, you know, people who are more progressive and liberal in nature, I guess. And part of that, I'm lucky enough to be in a city that's the bulk of the population here. But yeah, I mean, it's just, the authenticity piece that you mentioned is so important to me, because I feel like the more authentic you are, you're going to just attract that authenticity back from the people that you encounter.
Right. And yeah, go ahead.
I think social is so important today, and I think it seems like you have a really nice balance between, you know, being that authentic personal self and maintaining that professionalism that people respect. And branching off of social media, when it comes to marketing, are you doing many marketing activities besides social media, specifically targeting or trying to attract LGBT customers and clients?
Yeah, so Tom kind of already spoiled this a little bit, but I actually created a charity last year called Men of Chicago Real Estate. So it is a swimsuit calendar that we put out that was a cross brokerage initiative in Chicago. So we got guys from, Compass, a bunch of different other brokerages. We got them out to the beach. We took photos over 2 days. The local news covered it. It was super fun. And the whole purpose behind that was obviously to give back to the community. So we partnered with Chicago House, which is a local organization here that does housing and social services for LGBTQ people, families affected by HIV and AIDS. And, although the main driving force behind that is to obviously give back to an initiative that is close to my heart. In turn, I think that does position me well within the LGBTQ community. Most of the people that were buying them were either women or gay men. So that's one thing that I've done in the past that's sort of, directly related to our community as a whole.
Cool. Well, and one thing I want to mention in relating to you in creating and developing your own brokerage, I myself had done the same. So in the last episode, I was with EXP. I now developed my own brokerage Wheeler Group here in Minneapolis.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Like you, it's been kind of crazy, and it happened around a bonfire. It's just like this idea came, and so now it's in full effect. However, one thing that I think is super interesting in that regard is that balance that we're talking about, being authentic with yourself and your brand and who you are. And I think with Naglrep and my perspective with us as representatives of the community and homeownership within Naglrep is being advocates and being present so we can service more people because they know we exist. And I love the fact that you guys have put that together. I'm curious, was there any sort of pushback in terms of, was there anyone that you thought that had any sort of negative feedback on that, or what was your experience in putting that out? Was it easier being that you were with your own brokerage, or I'm just curious, logistically, did you get pushback on something so bold?
So actually, at the time, I was still with Keller Williams because this all transpired last year. And they actually were so supportive of the idea. And, again, I know Keller Williams is a pretty conservative company and headquartered, in the South. And but I really think that the culture of the real estate industry up here in Chicago is so kind of fun, adventurous, and there's so many cool people up here that, I have the pleasure of working with and doing deals with on a daily basis.
Right.
I'm sure there was some shade behind closed doors, but nothing was said to my face. But, it was definitely something where I had to, the guys in the calendar were about a 50-50 mix of LGBTQ guys and then straight guys. So it was really actually cool and poignant for me to see these guys that aren't necessarily a part of the LGBTQ community throwing their support behind an initiative that was going to directly benefit, our kind of smaller community within the whole.
Wow. I love that. So Ben, you've been with Naglrep. I mean, I personally as well, I have not been with Naglrep for a long, long time. I think, again, that's an opportunity for us and our community in developing the organization. But Ben, tell me a little bit about like your perspective on that as well, in terms of, I obviously we've been friends for a while, and I follow you and then you follow me. I would say that Tony and I probably are on maybe more like this side of the scale in terms of like social media, but like Ben, what's your perspective on social and kind of that boundary, the authenticity? Like, what does that mean to you?
I think it's always difficult, and I always question it anytime I post anything on social media of whether or where it falls on the radar. I've even questioned myself, is it more appropriate to have two different, specifically Instagram, to have two different accounts where you're promoting one is just real estate and one is just personal. But I've seen more and better results, like Tony has said, with being just authentic and on both sides, whether it's personal and business. What I've also discovered is that customers will research the hell out of you because they have access to the internet. So once they know your name, they're going to look you up and determine immediately, based off of how you represent yourself online, whether they trust you, like you, want to work with you, or don't want to work with you. And if they don't give you a call back, that might be one of the reasons. So, like you said, it's not a good relationship to try and force someone to work with you. And if they don't want to work with you, you probably don't want to work with them. So it's just, being truly authentic and representing yourself exactly how you are is, I think, the best motto when it comes to social media marketing.
Right. I will say that I think that we're on the leading edge as a community, as an organization, in all these different regards. So, it's Pride Month, so happy Pride to all. And with that, I've been in reflection about what we can do in all these different regards. But really, in being a leading edge, I actually had an experience last night at a Pride event where someone within my organization was more or less questioning maybe my approach. I think that what's unique, particularly with this panel, and again, the beautiful thing about what we're going to be able to do is get everybody's perspective, because that's what's beautiful about what we can do. But they were of the older generation, and it was. I think that there was a little bit of a lack of understanding or uncomfortability with the approach, and also being in a position to eventually take more leadership within Naglrep. And I guess my response and my thought was, I'm going to be wholly me, and I'm going to be authentically me. I'm going to create and do and say within professional boundaries, express myself that is me. And so, like, for example, we have a Pride parade this weekend, and we have some booths, and the balance of, like, what do you wear? Of course, it's not going to be like Speedos at the parade, but it's also something that I think uniquely we can all have the conversation around. That just isn't taking place. So my other question, I guess, and what I'm thinking about now is when I represent and work with my clients that are from the Naglrep kind of community, or the LGBTQ community rather, and that experience and providing a level of comfort. So I guess I'll pose this question to you both is, tell me a little bit more about the LGBTQ, your market share potentially, and your experience in servicing them, and maybe how Naglrep has contributed to that conversation and experience for the client. Tony?
Sure. That's a lot to unpack. So I really, I really like everything that you just said, and I agree with Ben too, in that there's definitely value in striking a balance. And at the end of the day, I mean, Tom, you and I talked about this a little bit offline. If what you're doing is working, don't let someone else's opinion of what you're doing affect how you play things out. So for example, for me, there's probably people that are like, oh, he's unprofessional, I can't believe he's showing so much skin. I don't really care about that, because I'm consistently doing deals from random followers of mine on Instagram. I took a listing this week of a guy that's been following me for over a year, who I've never met in person. Right. And I kind of joke and I say that the shirtless pics are bringing me new followers, which are new people that I'm getting in front of. And then my spots on local. What's that?
Like within the community as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be the first to say, my Instagram is a business page, so I can see the analytics. I have like 88 or 89% men followers. So, I mean, and as I've continued to grow my following, they're coming for some of the content. So the shirtless pics, the bathing suit pics, and then they're staying and they're reaching out to me for the other stuff that I'm posting. So I've been lucky enough to be doing some local TV spots here on a morning show. I've been going on radio shows. I've been doing these professional videos, and the professional content that I'm posting out there is showing these people that maybe came to my page for one reason, that I'm really good at my job. And at the end of the day, if you're really good at what you do, people are going to want to work with you. They don't care. And they're probably going to respect you more in that you're not trying to play the role of a business person. You're being yourself, and you're being extremely good at what you do. So it's definitely a balance, and you kind of do need both of those things. So if I was only out here posting shirtless pics, right, would anyone reach out to me about real estate? No. But I'm also providing value. I'm providing information. I'm providing education. And I know, Ben, I mean, I was looking at your website before we hopped on this call, and it talks about how, you were able to dumb down kind of the jargon in the more technical field that you were in before real estate, and how that's so important to educating consumers. And that's really the crux of my business, is educating people and providing value. So if your profile is fun, if you're providing value, you're going to be closing business just like I am. And so I don't really care if anyone has to say boo about it. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and I think also, thing that I've experienced within Naglrep is you're right. I mean, you obviously have a presence within the community. That's being an advocate for the community. That's marketing explicitly to your niche. And there's a million realtors in the world. You have to be unique and different, and you can't service everybody and please everybody. That's just essential in its model. However, I think it's a benefit is being part of Naglrep is that you're able to be an advocate in the community and be in support of something larger than yourself, not only within your city, but within the nation, and how that applies to not only real estate, but just so many different realms. And so that personally for me has been a benefit, because it's like, yeah, here's my page, but here are also the things that I'm doing as a byproduct of my work and my presence that supports the community. So I think that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, and personally for me, Naglrep has been a big influencer, because not only is Naglrep supplying information of advocacy and what's going on with LGBT rights across the country and the different cities that the chapters are based in, but it's also a great referral network. You know, when I have LGBT, customers moving out of Orlando, I can know I'm putting them in the hands of someone else who does business the same way that I do, and that they'll be taken care of. And that's probably the biggest value that I've seen. But I know Naglrep, they have their annual conference, which are you guys going to?
I'll be there.
Yes, let's do it. And we're going to definitely have to get an Instagram.
Yeah.
We can do a live panel.
I think we should.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. And everybody obviously that's going to be watching these and following. I mean, again, I'll reiterate, as I've said again, I think that that's why this is going to be so much fun, is when we do all get together, this concept will have been established and we'll have so many more relationships. And like Tony, you and I were chatting, I'm going to be there for Market Days. I think that's in August, right?
Yeah.
And I'm so excited that I'll have like a friend in Chicago. And same to you, Ben. Obviously, we've hung out many times before. I have a little bit more of a past with Florida, but all in all, I think that's what's amazing about this concept. And so I really appreciate you guys being here and showing up for this, because it is for the purpose of contributing to our presence within the community, servicing more people, being advocates, representation for everybody. And I've really enjoyed this. I think that I look forward to, meeting you, Tony. And is there anything else that you think of that you want to kind of shoot out there? I mean, of course, we'll tag all of your socials on here so people can kind of follow up with you and ask any of their respective questions. I certainly feel like I need to follow up with you as well. But is there anything that you want to throw out there?
Well, I just wanted to piggyback kind of on what Ben was just saying, and a conversation that you and I had offline, Tom, and the importance of having that referral network. So for example, that client that I just signed up as he's listing that was following me for over a year on Instagram. Yep. He is a member of the LGBTQ community. He's moving out of state, so that's why I'm selling his place for him. And, Tom, you and I were talking about what, the realization that I've had being a part of Naglrep and seeing some of these posts that some of the other members have posted about how kind of insulated I am in this big city, being in Chicago, where everything is so liberal and progressive, and I never think twice about being my authentic self in public or online or anything like that, and having the epiphany that it's not like that everywhere. Right. And so having this as a resource to be able to refer to people who my clients are, or friends or family are going to be comfortable working with, is so important. And it's really been eye-opening to me, and I'm super grateful that it's kind of taken me out of my bubble here and kind of shown me the perspective of, okay, there's still a lot of work to do nationwide. I can be an ally, even though I'm a member of this community, for people who are maybe even more disenfranchised than me. So
that's amazing. I mean, Ben, I have some more experience in Florida. I've been to Chicago a few times, but I hear some stories, and yeah, like you said on the Facebook page, you read stories about people who experience, this high level of discrimination or uncomfortability, and that is, to your point, such a great thing to bring up as well, is partnering as a group in experiencing that, learning from it. And yeah, I mean, we could have a whole nother conversation about that. I think that's, yeah, I mean, it's been eye-opening for me as well. And what positive thing. So for us to be together in that process of learning about that and experiencing it. So,
and the the collaboration is quite valuable among, well, us here right now, but also the Naglrep community. And that's honestly another aspect that I think is, amazing to have. So.
Right. Well, yeah, and in sake of time, I know, Tony, you've got a lot going on. Ben, you do as well. And of course, I feel like everyone has, I think, like a 15 to 20-minute kind of attention span for this. Yeah. But we certainly will have to follow up and maybe touch base on a few different things. But Tony, again, I totally appreciate your presence here, and Ben, you as well. So Tony, Mattar, Home Company, Chicago, Naglrep, thank you so much for being here. And the next chance to chat.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to meeting you, Tom, in August, and then Ben and everybody else in October. I think it's going to be awesome, and I'm really looking forward to kind of making some in-person connections with everybody across the nation.
Awesome. Well, we'll link your information and socials in the post for this, and yeah, look forward to chatting with you again.
Okay, cool. Bye, guys.
Thanks.